Okay, when we look at chapter 5 talks about political parties. Political parties in the US at the national level and the state level do the same things. The goal of political parties is to provide voters with ideological um, di- ideological differences in terms of how they approach government. When you open your chapter to when you open your book to chapter 5, it talks about responsible party model. The responsible party model is that the responsibility of political parties is to promote the best interest of their constituents or the American people. So that means that the political parties will have two very distinctive ideologies. You'll be able to tell a Democrat from a Republican just based upon their political beliefs. And in the U.S., you can do that. In the U.S., the Democrats tend to support abortion, Republicans tend to oppose abortion. So there are clear ideological differences in terms of how they approach political issues. And both political parties believe that what they're doing is not only good for their constituents, but it is in the best interest of the American people. Then it talks about a functional party model. If you look at the functional party model, the definition that it provides, it says these are any group, however loosely organized, seeking to elect governmental office holders under a given label. The functional definition captures the primary goal of parties in the United States, winning and maintaining control of political office. Is it important for political parties to control the government? In other words, to have a majority status? Yes, it is. Because if you have control, if you select candidates that are viable, meaning that they can actually win and they get elected to office, the more candidates you get elected to office, the more control you have. So majority and minority party status means the same at the state and local level as well as it does at the national level. It's important because it determines what type of policies are developed, what type of policies are considered, and what goes into those policies. Is there a lot of people that still are anti political parties? Yes, a lot of people are anti political parties in the U.S. because basically in the U.S. we have two main political parties, the Democratic and the Republican Party. At the state level, though, as opposed to the national level, what you will notice is that you will see more participation by different parties, as we like to call third parties, because they are outside of the Democratic and Republican Party. In Arkansas, the Green Party is a very active party. What you'll notice is that you'll see these third parties running candidates continuously. So you find third parties a little bit more active at the state and the local level. It also talks about the different types of primaries that states have. In Arkansas, we have what is referred to as an open primary, meaning that when you fill out your voter registration application or form, you do not have to provide your political party affiliation. You can wait until the day of the primary. Typically, in the state of Arkansas, it's typically held in February. Sometimes it's been held in May. And you can actually declare your political party affiliation on that day. And of course, they will give you a ballot with those candidates on there. With the closed primary, which is the opposite of open, you have to declare your political party affiliation when you fill out your voting form. So that way, when you arrive at the voting booth, they already know if you're a Democrat or Republican. The disadvantage to the primary system in terms of how political parties select their candidates is that independents usually don't participate or have a primary. Why? Because they usually have one or two candidates. The idea or the goal behind a primary is to whittle the field down in for the Democratic and Republican Party from 5 contenders down to one person that will actually run against the Democratic or Republican challenger in the general election that's typically held in November. They also talk about blanket primaries. A blanket primary, which is referred to as the top two candidates, commonly used in Louisiana. This is a type of primary that a lot of people, voters, embrace, but political parties do not like. And the reason for that is that it allows the top two candidates, regardless of political party affiliation, whether they're a Democrat or Republican, a Green Party member, a Nazi party member, whatever top two candidates during the primary, and everyone gets to vote if they're a registered voter. During the primary, whatever two top candidates gets the highest votes wins, and those two individuals will face off against one another in the actual general election. Now, why do political parties not like this? Because that means that it's a possibility for a party outside of the Democratic and Republican Party to actually possibly win and gain a position in the legislature. So they don't like it. So that's why at the state level, the Democrats and the Republicans would like to continue to have open and closed primaries, because those primaries tend to block out third-party candidates. So that's why you don't see, if you look on page 149, you do not see a lot of states with the top two blanket primary. In fact, you only see 3. The rest of the chapter talks about different things in terms of political party. It talks about the ballot. It talks about political party affiliation and political ideology. One thing that you do need to know, you do not have to actually register with a political party to be a member. You can simply identify with that party. And if you identify with that party, you can actually, that's how you have your membership. But if you really want to participate and be part of a political party, what you want to do is that you actually want to go to their website and you actually want to sign up to be in their party. Does the party have their own individuals operating at the state level? Yes. You have a party at the state level, you have a party at the national level. When national elections are held, the state party and the local party also officers work or coordinate together to help with the national campaigns. At the state level, you find a tremendous amount of political party activity, but when it comes to local elections, like for county sheriff, you're not going to find a Democrat or Republican. Political party labels are not important there. Usually we vote on people based upon we think whether or not they'll just be good for the job. So when you continue to look at this, make sure that you read and find out about the differences between political parties, what is taking place in terms of political parties. Look at how much money is given to political parties. Believe it or not, a lot of money provided to candidates for state elections are actually provided by people outside of the state because they have a vested interest on what goes on in the state. Also, make sure that you look at page 166 and look at figure 5.6, which talks about party competition between 1938 and 2012. It's important to see how, when we start talking about competition, what it looks like in terms of the Democrats and the Republicans. I think you're really going to enjoy this chapter. I wish that I could have talked about it a little bit more in depth, but I try not to make these very long. But make sure you also read on 172 the third party gubernatorial candidates spoiling for a fight. Make sure that you look at that, and I think that you'll really enjoy this chapter. Thank you.